welcome back to Triple Goddess Soapery. My name is Angela, and it has been a long time since you've seen me. Now, I know that I promised months ago to do a fourth quarter recap of my sales and business for 2024, do an overall recap of 2024, and go over my goals for 2025. And I have not done that. It's been a busy 3 months of 2025, and I just honestly haven't been feeling it, so I just haven't done it. But today I have my goals on my phone here to talk about. I have printed out my income statement for the last quarter of 2024 and all of 2024, and we're going to talk about it. I also have my potion of the day, which is in my Everything Tastes Better with Cat Hair in It cup. This is a blend of peppermint, chamomile, tulsi, and lemon balm. This is a great all-around tea. If you want it to be even more adaptogenic, give you a little bit more energy, you could ditch the chamomile and add some, what could you add? Ashwagandha and or ginseng. Siberian ginseng is my personal favorite. And if you want this to be a good nighttime tea to make you sleepy, you could ditch the peppermint if you like, and you could add some passion flower, some, what else? Catnip. And there's one more that I'm thinking of, skullcap as well. So yeah. But this is a really great tea. It's great for your central nervous system and just calming and all that good stuff. So while we talk about these things, I have 120 boxes to build, but first we're going to place 120 labels on them because we have a lot of soap to package up. Alright, so the final quarter of 2024 was amazing. That's like the short answer. I hit records every month, higher than the month before and higher than the year before. Now, if you have been following me since the beginning, I've been a soap maker since May 2022. I started selling in August 2022. So 2023 was my first year, and my sales for 2023, did I say 2023? 2023 was my first full year. That's what I'm trying to get at. And my gross sales for 2023 were $10,348. Now, my gross sales for 2024, which is on the same page, were almost $23,000, $22,670. So my gross sales were almost, actually more than double in 2024 than they were in 2023. So big thumbs up. That was awesome. Now, for the final quarter, I did more markets in 2024 in general than 2023, so that helps with my sales. I will say that sales really didn't start to pick up until the end of August when I did Peg and Pride Day, but September, October, November, December hit records. It was amazing. So in October, which is the beginning of the last quarter, on October 5th, I did a market at Cedar Community Hall, just outside of Nanaimo, and it was a witchy themed market, and I hit a record, blew it out of the water. That actually is still, I believe, the highest single one-day sales that I've ever had. My sales were almost $1,500. It was amazing. And it was like people were just throwing money at us the entire time, and every vendor felt the same way. So there's that. Then I also did a couple more markets that month at Arbutus Meadows and Nanaimo North Town Center that were, they were all right, but they didn't set any records, and, you know, nothing to write home about. But October definitely set a record for the highest sales outside of a Christmas market, and they were definitely higher than the year before. And November was the same. I did 2 3-day markets back-to-back weekends in November. Normally one of the markets would have been in December, but it was about 2 weeks early last year. And the first one that I did was with the Handmade Makers, and she is amazing. She does great markets. I'll be doing a market with her in May at Bevan Social Center. And my sales for that 3 days were over $2,400. which was not quite double my sales the year before for the same market. So amazing. I was very happy with that. And then the market at the end of the month was with the, well, it's not the German Cultural Center market anymore, but it is Nanaimo Christmas Village, and they are a German family that put this market on every year. This market is by far my most lucrative market of the year. Last year my sales, okay, so my very first Christmas market there was only my second market ever in 2022. My sales were, I don't know, $1,600, which was amazing. I was like blown away. Last in 2023, the sales for that same market were $2,400 or $2,600. And this past year, they were $3,600. So it was amazing. My sales in November 2024 were higher by enough to make a difference than the wages that I made at my day job. And I have been an accountant in public practice for 20 years. Just to give you an idea of, my pay scale, I guess. I'm experienced in my field. And my sales in November were higher selling soap, even like net profit wise, than my income from my day job. So that was pretty amazing. So again, setting records the whole month of November. Now December, I didn't set any sales records, and December was kind of weird because I had 3 markets at Arbutus Meadows, and for various reasons, each market wasn't that good. They weren't terrible, but the very first one, there was a really bad accident on the highway that knocked out power a half hour before the market started, so my sales were basically $150 for the night when they should have been $300, $400, $500 for the night. And the weather was beautiful, so it sucked. And then for the next 2 weekends at that market, it was pouring rain. And the biggest thing that draws people to that market is that they do a walk of lights for Christmas. They also do it in the fall, but this was a Christmas market. So if it's rainy, pouring, not very nice out, you're certainly not going to draw the crowds that are going to also attend the market to this event. So it kind of sucked. So December wasn't bad. It was still good, but sales were definitely not as high as they could have been. So overall, my last quarter of 2024 was amazing. Set records every month, blew everything away, fabulous. So for the last quarter, because I have it right here, so for 2023, October to December, my gross sales were $5,788, and just making sure I'm looking at right numbers, yes. And then for 2024, my final quarter sales were $12,246. So more than double. And that's amazing. I will say too, on top of just regular sales at markets and stuff and website sales, I also had a little bit of Patreon revenue as well as affiliate revenue from National Shrink Wrap System. But that works out to like not even $300. So it's really, barely even worth mentioning. But it's still money, and it still made me very happy that people are investing in me, I guess, for lack of a better word. So that was my last quarter of 2024. It was amazing, set records, very, very happy. Now for the total of 2024, I think I might have already gone over this. So my total sales for 2024 were $22,670 versus 2023, which was $10,348. And so again, amazing. I more than doubled my sales, which was my goal for 2024. So I hit my goal, yay me. And then when you go down and look at my net, now I don't have the information on this report because I record all of my gross expenses for all of my house and my vehicle and stuff. And then I back out the personal portion, so that isn't represented on this report. But I know from looking at my tax return recently that my loss for already, like I was saying before I was cut off, my loss for 2023 was about $5,000, and I think I'm a little bit crooked here, and my net income for 2024 was $350. Yay! So if you know anything about business, Generally, they say don't expect to see a profit for the first 3 to 5 years. You'll probably have a loss. So that's very exciting to me. And yeah. So as a little aside here, I recorded this entire video and my phone only recorded the first 10 minutes. So I talked about all of my goals for 2025 and all kinds of stuff, and it did not record. So I'm pretty mad about that, and I'm just gonna fix the lighting here. And now I have faced the screen towards me so that if it stops recording I can see it, because I'm kind of mad about that. So I don't know how much of that video recorded, that first part, because I haven't edited it yet. I don't know how much it got about my business goals and stuff, but needless to say, 2024, my sales were double that of 2025, and I actually turned a profit. And I'm very happy about that. All was good. Anyway, so I had a lovely chat that you will never see about all of my 2025 goals. So let's do that all over again. So for 2025, I have 10 goals, although I only have 9 written down, so hopefully I remember the last one by the time we get there. Anyway, kind of bitter. So, first goal, more wholesale. My goal is to have more stockists for 2025. Currently, I am in Simply Flowers in Nanaimo, Crafty's Crystals in Parksville, House of Dandy, which is a tanning salon business in Nanaimo. I will be dropping off soap for Star House Tea Shop in Port Alberni, which will be a proprietary soap to her, so you can find me there. And I'm also officially in, there's another one, but in the Blue Caterpillar Emporium, which is a new witchy, pagan, crafty tea shop and gallery in Cobble Hill. You can check them all out on Facebook, on Instagram. They have websites and you can find them there. But my goal for 2025 is definitely to find more people to wholesale to. Because although it's not as lucrative financially, it is less work, so it kind of evens out, right? And my next goal for 2025 is to increase my sales. So I'm looking at a 20% increase in gross sales for 2025. 2024, my goal was, doubling my sales. And now that I'm just a little bit more established and had a full year under my belt, or a full 2 years, I'm looking at increasing my sales by 20%, which I think is doable. One of my big goals is to be more selective in the markets that I attend as a vendor. 2022, 2023, and part of 2024, I basically just did any market that would take me. And there are a lot of very generic markets, a lot of markets that are just kind of family oriented in mall parking lots, at malls. And honestly, they weren't very good. Some of my worst markets that I did in 2024 were the moms markets. They're just too generic and they don't draw the kind of crowd that's there to shop, in my opinion. So in 2024, it quickly became apparent that Vancouver Island has a really robust pagan community and witchy scene, which I just had no idea about. But when I was invited last minute to a metaphysical fair, I really found my people. Like, it was amazing. It blew me away. And honestly, I don't even know what I recorded in the first 10 minutes of this video. But basically, all of the metaphysical / witchy markets that I attended as a vendor in July, August, September, October, each one set a record over the one before. It was amazing. So that being said, I really am no longer afraid of niching down, of like really leaning into my pagan, I don't want to say heritage, my pagan beliefs and my pagan leanings, and just the more not holistic approach and not natural approach, but definitely just that side of who I am as an individual and really making it part of my brand. So, really leaning into the moon water that I use in my soaps, into the locally inspired names of my soaps, that kind of thing. Just, my brand is Triple Goddess Soapery. So, it should be obvious to most people what I represent, and I'm really trying to lean into that more and more in the markets and the events that I do. So, that is a big goal for me, and I'm definitely achieving it. But I want to say at least 90% of the markets that I'm doing this year are specifically pagan, metaphysical, witchy style markets. The only 3 that aren't is a May market, that's a 3-day market in May, and 2 of my Christmas markets, basically. Also, something else that I am, and I got my phone here, something else that I'm looking at is building my inventory well before the busy season. Last year, to backtrack, in 2023, I got stung by thinking that my wholesale orders were going to be quicker, faster, and more profitable than they actually were. I ended up stocking up on some inventory that I am still using up now, and it's 2025. So I really reeled it back, and I started making things basically just to fulfill the retail side of my business. And I think it really shot me in the foot because I probably lost out on a lot of sales that I would have had otherwise if I had more inventory. So that being said, this year, starting in January, I'm making larger batches of soaps and I'm making more soap in general. And I think I'm already seeing the benefit of that. Also, last fall, I really stocked up making lots of bath bombs, lots of shower steamers, but I still did not make enough soap. And I ran out of bath bombs and shower steamers and car diffusers, and I was constantly trying to keep up. So one of my goals is just to be more on top of that. So I'm just making more soap, having it on the shelf. I'm not worried about it not selling or whatever. It's soap, it doesn't go bad. So yeah. Another thing that I'm looking at this year as one of my goals is to expand to more online platforms. I have looked at Wheat Marketplace, which is an app on your phone, Pacific Arts Marketplace, as well as Fair. The only one I'm currently actively on is Fair, and I did work on my website a little bit, and I have had more traffic there and more interest, but I still haven't had any sales, so there's that. Another thing was to do some online advertising, and specifically on social media. So in the last couple months, last 6 weeks, I have been doing some advertising on Facebook and Instagram, just like $1 a day, and it has generated a fair amount of traffic, lots of conversations. Has it generated any sales? I don't know, but it is what it is, and if I don't put myself out there and let people know who I am, how will they know? Another thing I'm looking at is improving my SEO and maybe dipping my foot into Google Ads. I do on and off work on my SEO, but it is definitely a challenge, and I would like to look at Google Ads a little bit, but it's expensive and I'm small. So like I said, it's on the list of things to do by the end of the year, so we shall see. Another thing that it's kind of big on the list, but I don't know. I just don't know. So I want to finalize and release my intentions candle line. I have, 8 or 12 intentions that I've matched up scents for. And this also goes into me doing possibly one of the things I want to do, and that I've already made a list of, is phasing out my current scents that I have in wax melts and really focusing on 8 or 12 scents that are witchy, pagan, hippie vibes that will be very specific to my brand. I'm just really trying to not even niche down, but just really focus on who I am and my brand. So you will see that I will be doing a set of wax melts that are very much, you know, my brand and my scents. And they'll probably flow over into the candles if I ever get there. Because if I ever sell candles, I will A, have to increase my insurance, my liability insurance, to add candles. But also, I will not do candles unless they're in a cauldron vessel. I can't find a cauldron vessel that I like, and I especially can't find one that is at a price point that I can afford, that would be cost effective, or for less than, you know, having to buy 1,000 of them at a time, which means I'd have to make my own. And I do have the molds to make my own, but it means I will be making cement, concrete, or cement vessels that will have to be sealed, and it's just going to be extremely, extremely labor intensive. And I don't know that I have time to make, you know, tens of candle vessels and then seal them all and then pour them all, and then it's going to be a very labor intensive, labor of love to make these candles. And it's something I would like to do, but I'm not entirely sure that it's going to come to fruition this year, but it is on the list of things I want to do. The wax melts, however, I very much can accomplish, and I will do, I want to say at least 8 witchy scents, and they will be, and that will be it. That will be just Triple Goddess Soapery wax melts, these 8 scents. That's it, that's all. I don't think I'll do any seasonal scents. It'll just be those. So yeah. So that's another goal. Now, number 9 is to release an advent calendar for 2025. At the end of 2024, I started doing the research. I bought some boxes and a few things just to kind of lay it out and see how it all worked and see if I would like it. And I think I got something down that I kind of like, and I just need to work out the kinks and the details and whatever, but yeah. And the biggest challenge is getting an advent calendar that will have, say, 12 to 24 items that are of a decent size, that are worthwhile to even put in the calendar to begin with, but also keep the whole calendar a size that is, you know, you don't want to have like a giant Amazon box that's an advent calendar. You want to have something reasonable, that's aesthetically pleasing, that has 12 or 24 items in it that people actually want, and that's at the right price point that people are willing to pay, and where I will actually make a profit. Because again, building an advent calendar is going to be very, very labor intensive, and you have to take that into account. So yeah. Now, the last goal, which I don't have on my phone, so I don't even know why I'm opening it again. My last goal, which feeds into a secondary, well, it feeds into one of my other goals a little bit. So basically, for 2025, I am going to hire someone. Now, this someone or someones will be paid a living wage, so a minimum of $25 an hour, and it won't be full-time work. It won't even be part-time work. It'll be a few hours here, a few hours there, but I'm determined to pay them $25 an hour to do things like label boxes. And I don't know why I'm sitting here. I should be building these boxes. So anyway, let's build some boxes while we carry on here. So I want to hire someone who can do the tasks that I don't enjoy. So labeling products, packaging products. There's more. There's got to be more. Those are the 2 main things, is labeling and packaging. I don't necessarily need them to make the product, at least not yet, but because that's the thing that I actually enjoy. But the labeling and the making of the products. Maybe even doing a little bit of photography, a little bit of social media management. But to start, it's just going to be stuff like this. And it also feeds into another thing, because I have double booked myself for at least 2 events this year, which means I'm going to need to hire an individual to represent my brand and sell my products for 2 or 3 days, very sporadically, spread out over the year. So for sure, 1 day in September, for sure, 1 day in November, and something else could come up, I'm not sure. but I already have a couple of friends / loyal customers that have volunteered for the job, which is great. At some point, I might actually have to hire someone on a regular basis, which means that I've really made it and I really am an adult and my business is legit. So yeah, that's the deal. That's my 10th goal is I will, and although it hasn't officially happened yet, it's already it's happened because I am going to need someone September 13th and November 22nd, I believe, for those 2 days to man my booth. So yeah, so that's very exciting. What else? Is there anything else that I talked about for that 30 minutes that never recorded? I don't know, probably. But anyway, if you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate you. If I didn't mention it earlier because I got cut off, I do have a Patreon, and the link is down below. And I will also put down here, thank you to all my patrons. I really do appreciate you. I do not post nearly enough over there, but if you head over to Patreon, I do have all of my most popular formulas available at the $5 level. I have multiple different soap recipes and bath bomb, shower steamers, lip balm, my face recipes, shampoo, conditioner, all that good stuff. So it is available over there. I also have memberships turned on YouTube, although I will say that there really has been no interest in that. There are some videos that are like membership only that you can't find on Patreon, you can't find anywhere else. They're just in the membership section. So right now I'm really not adding much to it because there really doesn't seem to be any interest. However, if there does start to be interest in the membership only section of YouTube, that will encourage me to add more content. So keep that in mind. And with that, what else do I have to say? I think we talked about 2023 and I think we talked about the last quarter of 2024. I think we talked about the whole year of 2024. And we covered all of my goals for 2025. I'm already starting to achieve some of those goals. And if you are local, or even on Vancouver Island, BC, anywhere in Canada really, and you know a shop or you have a shop that would be interested in my products, please reach out. I would love to have a conversation. Right now I offer soap, shower steamers, my Dragon soaps, my Sabbath's collection of soaps. Shampoo and conditioner can be discussed. Lip balms can be discussed. Wax melts. What else do I have? Some things, honestly, some things I don't enjoy making enough to like offer them wholesale. But yeah, I'm always open for a discussion. And with that, we might be done with this video. I'm not entirely sure how far we've gotten here, but I'm sure this video will be at least 30 minutes long. Who knows how long it would have been if the first run had been successful. Anyway, I'll stop complaining about that because it just makes me annoyed. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will be back soon.